Hi, welcome to the Byway Nomad. My name's Tony Ferrari, and today something a little bit unusual for you. This started off as a fun bit of video that I took whilst walking the dog on Boxing Day. I had to return a couple of weeks later because the video got corrupted and re-edit a few bits, but it's a bit different, a bit slower paced than my normal videos, and a bit of history thrown in as well. So welcome to Old Arncott Road. Something a little bit different today. We're on a road that's known locally as the Horseshoe, but is technically Old Arncott Road. And I'll show you why. If you look behind me, you'll see there's a tarmac road that is named as Old Arncott Road. And once upon a time, it used to cross over here and head off down that way over my shoulder. Now, these days, it's a little different. But now we have the nice straight new Plowley Road that leads down to Arncott. So yeah, the village of Arncott is due south of Ambrosden. So it is a little strange that, you know, what used to be the only road heads off to the southeast. And even stranger, if you look up ahead, you'll see that the road turns quite sharply to the left to run almost due east. And you may see evidence along here, tyre tracks, and this is pretty much only used by the farmer to access fields up ahead on the left. No through traffic, certainly on four wheels, and you'll see why on the later stretches of the lane, which become quite narrow. So yeah, the old tarmac surface still very much evident. You'll see very rough, granular surface, and this is typical of roads that were tarmacked in the 30s and 40s, because basically they would have been an unsealed road, just basically stone laid down and rolled. And the process of tarmacking was literally spraying them with bitumen to bind them all together. And the process known as tarmacking. And many minor country roads could still be seen with this very rough granular surface. Section we're on here, as you see, quite a bit of standing water and quite a bit of mud that's washed over the surface. So the tarmac is actually quite hidden in places. Oops, just dropped the lead there. Now you see we're turning again, and now we are heading more in the direction of Arncott, going towards the south. Now we've just passed a field entrance, and you can see that the lane starts to deteriorate slightly. Nice big grass strip up the middle, gets a bit narrower. Obviously less used by the farmer. Now, so although we're heading in the rough direction of Arncott, if we were to carry on in a straight line, we'd mostly miss the village because we're not pointing towards it at this point. And this really strange alignment, I think, can only be explained by the fact that the farm boundaries or field boundaries dictated the route of the road rather than a more logical sort of straight line as we now have with the adjacent Plowley Road. As far as I can work out, Plowley Road came about in World War II when both the Bicester sort of ammunition depot and the Arncott sort of depots were built. They had a handy link to the main railway line, and also are linked even to this day by what's known as the British Military Railway, which is a small single track railway. These days a train only runs about once a day. So yeah, these massive depots were built in World War II and remain to this day, although they have reduced in size. Graven Hill at Bicester, much of it is now being redeveloped, although there's still several warehouses used by the Royal Logistics Corps. Arncott depot is pretty much as was. There was another one at the neighbouring village of Piddington, which has pretty much fallen into disuse. There's various other ex-military sites around as well, things like old campsites and things. That it's quite an interesting bit of history around here. It has to be said that, you know, was this surface a bit cleaner, perhaps the sides cut back a bit, it wouldn't look much different to many country roads around this area. One thing about this part of Oxfordshire and neighbouring Buckinghamshire, you'll see signs up saying gated road. To my knowledge, none of them are gated anymore. They're all tarmac roads, all publicly drivable. But yeah, just a strange factor around here. We're actually heading in towards an area known as Otmore, and the name gives you a clue. It was very low-lying sort of moor land to the north of Oxford that has been sort of, you know, reclaimed in a way for agricultural use, but certainly still floods very much in wet weather. Another field entrance on our left there, but doesn't look like it's had much use. As I say, this section of the lane certainly seems to have had much less use than the first section. Now you can see we're slowly starting to curve round towards the west more. So at this point, yeah, we do appear to be heading towards Arncott. As I said before, this is just a little bit of a fun video. This is not really a trail that I expect people to go out and ride specifically. We're in a part of the country with very few byways or unclassified county roads, so looping this into any sort of route is going to be a little bit tricky. There's only one other route close by, which is Scott's Lane near the village of Marsh Gibbon in Buckinghamshire. It's only about 2 miles away from here. That's pretty much it. Not sure if you can see there, but we have a kestrel hovering above the lane. Of course, not uncommon in these parts to see red kites. Since their introduction back into this part of the country, they have become a very common sight. Now, here we are at another turning point in the lane, and you think we might be turning back towards Arncott, but actually the direction we're heading in is pretty much due west from this point in. The track leading off to the left here is a bridleway, but the road continues round here. Now this is classified on the Oxfordshire list of streets as an unclassified county road, and marked on the Ordnance Survey maps as an ORPA. That's an other route with public access. Now you see it gets a lot narrower here, because although that was a bridleway off to the left, the gate there is used as access to the farmers' fields, so presumably they're driving down here on a fairly regular basis. Whereas this leg, where we're heading back towards the new Plowley Road, is much less used. As you can see from the low tree here, I doubt a four-wheeled vehicle has been through here in a long time. I say it's quite overgrown in the summer, quite easy to pass through at this time of year, but quite often the vegetation encroaches right onto this path that I'm walking on. You can still see the tarmac surface, but soil and grass is now pretty much covered both sides, and it's only about 2 foot wide that's visible. You might just about be able to see up ahead. We're coming to the end of the lane where it intersects once again with Plowley Road. Oop. Still see that tarmac surface, and obviously it has been resurfaced just for a short stretch here at this end, more recently by the looks of things. Now originally, looking at the old maps, the road did a 90-degree left-hand turn here to continue down towards Upper Arncott, which is the first part of the village. As I say, it's quite a strange alignment. You can see the new road now does a direct thing down to Arncott, which you can just see in the distance. So thanks very much for watching. Something a little bit more unusual from the Byway Nomad.